Hey, we're here. We're here. A couple minutes late today, but we're glad to be here. We're glad to have you with us as well. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. It's me, John Radigan, and Jeff managing new equipment. So you'll see some of his knuckles, like there, right there. See, that's how Jeff's knuckles look, and we are fully connected. Jeff, are we connected? Do you read me?
John, I don't know what you're saying.
Oh my goodness, he's lost audio to me. All right, well, we'll continue to work on that as we welcome you, and he and Kat will get that squared away over the next few minutes, and we'll bring him back into the program. Yeah, we're glad to have each and every one of you here with us today, and yes, Leon, Jeff is back in Texas, and that is a little bit of a surprise because originally he was planning on being at the winter meetings through today. However, the Ranger coalition, cadre grouping, all the Ranger people left yesterday, which was a surprise. They initially had intended to stay until one more day, basically to stay until today. But they left yesterday, so Jeff got on a flight this morning. Do you have us, Jeff? Still does not have us.
John, I'm still unable to hear you. Still having technical issues.
So we're going to continue to work through the technical issues with Jeff. Believe it or not, this is partially a result of a new phone that Jeff has, and I think we can all relate. The new phone can be problematic at first. So we'll get back to Jeff in a minute, but we want to talk about the next steps in the Rangers process. Before we do that, however, we have to talk about what they actually did during the winter meetings, and we'll get to all that stuff, as well as checking in on a couple of former Rangers whose names are out there and who are doing lots of things right now, and we'll get to that coming up, as well as our cleanup segment. And Jeff is back. Can you hear me now, Jeff?
I mean, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh man,
are you having difficulty hearing me? Do I need to talk loud?
No, you're fine. I'm just showing my age, I guess. Here, I guess I turned 51 and I can't do technology anymore.
Technology eludes you when you reach certain ages, no doubt about it. So you really have to concentrate harder on it the older you get. But anyway, so Jeff's back. Which flight did you get on, 5 a.m. or 7 a.m.?
7 a.m. 5 a.m. That was a little aggressive. 7 a.m. Plenty of seats available. Made it home. And yeah, it was smooth sailing compared to getting there. So
yeah,
American owed me one.
Yeah, they really did. Okay, so first thing we want to talk about is just sort of what happened over the course of the winter meetings. And I know a lot of Ranger fans, Jeff, are disappointed by the fact that not more did happen. But ultimately, Chris Young walked away saying, "Oh, we got a ton of work done relative to laying groundwork for what will continue to be, part of this offseason." But technically, I guess 2 moves at the winter meetings: the Tyler Wade acquisition,
right.
and then the Rule 5 trade ultimately that the Rangers made, which even Ross Fenstermaker, I know, told you afterwards, yeah, we're just taking a flyer on this guy. Although you have done a little deeper dive onto Carter, haven't you?
Yeah, he's like we talked about yesterday, that 2020 draft, that was only 5 rounds. Baltimore overpaid to get him. He had shoulder surgery in 22. He had a little shoulder impingement recently, but whenever he came back from that, when he's been healthy, the stuff really played up, like 98 miles per hour. The Rangers really like the way he can spin it, and so he fits the profile of a guy who can make the team and can be carried. And this year he would serve as a reliever, but they're talking about in the future maybe him being a starting pitcher. So they have to get there first. Like, he needs to be healthy, which he appears to be, and then in spring training he needs to show something. I mean, it won't be any sweat off their back if they have to return him to the Orioles, or go through that process where you stick him on the waivers and all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, and it's a low cost. It's it's nothing really.
Right.
It's incredibly low risk.
Yeah.
And look, if he makes it through the year, even if it's a a bumpy road and all of this, and you can option him, and he's still in your system, which needs relief pitchers or starting pitchers. So uh, getting him through 162 is always the trick, though. You know, he can make the roster. He can pitch only in low leverage situations when you're ahead 10-1 or behind 10-1. Try to protect him that way, ease him in. But there's going to be a time, just based on usage and things, where it's going to be like, all right, this guy's got to pitch the seventh inning.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no way around it, and hopefully by that time he's ready to do it. But you know, um, and again, if it gets to the point where they can't keep him, they can't keep him, and
Right.
it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and truly, in a perfect world, they won't even have to hide him, right? He
Yeah,
immediately begins to live up to the upside potential. He hasn't had a lot of innings or work at the professional level, but he's had time. He's had 5 years of sort of being there and learning this game. And if the stuff is there, and if they realize right away in spring training that the stuff will play, he doesn't necessarily have to be a guy that is only used in low leverage situations. Although I think under any circumstances, since he's never pitched at the big league level, I don't even
yeah,
think he's made it to AAA ever. That yeah, he'll still start in low leverage situations just to see how he reacts emotionally, mentally, and physically when, as they say, there's a third deck.
right. And teams do it. Mason Englert, who the Rangers lost a few years ago to the Tigers were able to do it, and Mason just was built up as a starter in the minor leagues, and was a reliever for them, and they did a good job of low leverage situations with him, so it's not impossible. It's and with the need for relievers, you have 8 of them, and the Rangers really honestly only have one right now, and Robert Garcia. You think, obviously you feel pretty good about Cole Winn. You don't know what's going to happen with Jacob Latz, but some names. Um, this guy is going to maybe fill a need and save them some money. Um, and with relievers going off the board now, it seems like with little more frequency and regularity, the Rangers probably ought to get going on this.
Yeah, there's no doubt they need to, and they look. There becomes, we talked about it yesterday. There's a lot of time left. Basically, about half of the off season remains. That said, there's a certain amount of urgency, especially I think after the Christmas holiday. Right? That's but
Yeah.
truly, we also know there are oftentimes, many times, when we are doing press conferences and that type of thing, right there at the holidays. Was it Nathan Evaldi agreed on a Christmas Eve, I think, a few years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
things can happen despite the fact that there is this major holiday happening right now too. It's just part of the timing of baseball. Now, one of the things that also happened, and really, in spite of the fact that the Rangers didn't have a lot of tangible activity and things we can point to from the winter meetings, they've still had a remarkably active off season. As we mentioned the other day, not the least of which, as you all know, is the fact that they made a blockbuster trade and brought Brandon Nimmo in. And one of the comments I saw just today, Jeff, and I know we talked about when Skip met with the media on the show one day. I hadn't seen this comment. I assume that it was from that session, but let's take a look at the comment that Skip Schumacher made about Brandon Nimmo. And he says he's very intentionally, has a lot of substance behind any topic that we're talking about. There's a couple of things that we need to help us win. He's definitely a positive part of the clubhouse culture that we're trying to create. And that seems very obvious, again, just from watching A, the reaction of him leaving New York, and then B, as we took a closer look at just, who he was and how he appeared as a leader in that Mets clubhouse, which is full of superstars. So that's very interesting. And I think that, as far as it relates to Skip Schumacher, like there's a two-pronged thing here. They're trying to change the philosophy, but that's not necessarily the same as changing the culture.
Yeah, and right, but I think he's going to fill both needs.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And the quote kind of stemmed from, a joke that a reporter made, like, have you talked to Brandon and were you able to get a question in, because Brandon talks so much.
Yeah.
But Skip's right. I mean, everything he says has substance and depth and detail and things like that. And then there's the energy and the, like, desire to win and to be a great teammate and to get to know everybody that Brandon revealed to us during his Zoom call. And he says he's reached out to some guys and some guys have reached out to him, but like, he's already wanting to find a place to hold like a party in Arizona. And he wants to be that guy. And I think people will warm to him and he'll be welcoming, and he's the kind of guy you want to be around. And he was able to juggle that with an infant daughter last year. And she's one, and teetotaling around and falling every other step. But he seems really dedicated to these guys and his family, of course. But I think Brandon's going to kind of fill a void, if you will, that maybe has been missing here, that we've all kind of speculated about. But I think Brandon Nimmo might be that guy.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I think that to the other point, filling two voids in a way, because we've always talked about how Nathan Eovaldi is such a great leader. And the pitchers, he works with them, he talks to them, he helps them, they come to him, he goes to them, he watches their bullpens. It seems like there may be some of Brandon Nimmo or some of Nathan Eovaldi in Brandon Nimmo in that regard. And when we come back on the DLLS Rangers podcast, we'll talk about that. We'll also begin to dive into those next steps and what the Rangers need to do as far as getting this thing back to being what we all want it to be. That's coming next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, where we invite you to download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code DLLS and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's that simple for you to make 10 times your money. Just play a $5 lineup and they give you 50. That's a 10-fold increase right there. And the code DLLS gets you those $50 lineups. Prize Picks, man, it's good to be right. It's such a good app, and it makes sports watching so much fun. Lots of NFL this weekend, of course, starting tonight, Atlanta and Tampa Bay. So there are basically opportunities for you to pick players, 2 to 6 of them. And if you are right, you cash in. All you have to do is have them beat certain stat categories. So again, we remind you, download the app today. Use the code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Also, we want to remind you about Wild Fork Foods. What a great place that is, and a new partner for us. We're so happy to have them on board. And this Saturday, you have a chance to experience the greatness of Wild Fork Foods. Our Dallas Mavericks crew will be at the Louisville location from 12 to 2 on Saturday. Clarence Hill may join them, but even more importantly, there is going to be a pitmaster there. I'm not sure which one it will be. We had Mark Sweeney a couple of weeks ago at the location where we were, and I'm telling you, the food he made was fantastic. Of course, it all starts with the great flash frozen meats from Wild Fork Foods. They are so fantastic, and whoever the pitmaster is, he will make them melt in your mouth. So go on out there this Saturday, 12 to 2 in Louisville. So I mentioned the meets and all that, Jeff. Here's an interesting thing about our trip to Wild Fork last time. I haven't had a chance to mention to you since you left right away. I have now had, for the first time in my life, duck nachos.
Oh.
And they were fantastic. They were absolute. So we walked out of there with some of the duck that Mark Sweeney made for us, and it was fantastic. So I cut it up and we put it on nachos. Man, I'm telling you, that stuff was so good. And I've got a bacon wrapped fillet thawing. I believe it's going
Man.
to be consumed tonight, Jeff. So
Well, I mean, it was great. The duck, while it was flavorful and the family liked it. I was the only one who was comfortable eating a duck.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, "Oh, I feel bad for the duck." I was like, "Well, do you feel bad for the cow that you ate
Right.
last night?"
Right. Yeah, I know.
Anyway, it's great. I love Wild Fork, and I look forward to our next appearance, John, because I look
Yeah.
forward to eeating free meat.
Yeah. Oh boy, I tell you what.
And then leaving home or leaving the store with, $50 to
Yeah.
$100 in meat.
Right. Right. They also get some. We leave something behind
Yes, we
as
do.
well. We do indeed. So some of our money behind. But anyway, go on out there. Check those guys out this Saturday, 12 to 2 at the Louisville location. We continue to talk about this thing, and we talk about Nathan Evaldi and all he does to help the young players. I wonder, hope, and think, plan, figure, right, that we're going to get some of that from Brandon Nimmo, who's already shared, and we've talked about this a couple of times on the show, but how he just diligently went through the process and worked at becoming better against lefties, so that as one of the guys told you this week, he is platoon neutral. He doesn't need to be platooned because
Mhm.
he can hit righties and he can hit lefties, and it's a process. And I'm sure, just from what we've already seen and know about him, he'll help Evan Carter, right? Who is in the process and really does need to learn that himself. He needs some runway to do it, and he'll get runway at spring training. But he needs to learn how to do that. And fingers crossed, not only will Brandon Nimmo teach him, but then the lessons will stick, right?
Yeah, and, I think you can kinda draw some similarities between the 2 players.
Yes.
No, I think Evan is just has always been a fast guy. I don't know that
Yes.
Brandon's particularly fast when you look at his stolen base totals, but, I mean, he plays the outfield fine, so he can move a little bit, but, you know, he's from, Elizabeth, Tennessee. Carter is a very small town. Cheyenne, Wyoming's not a small town, but it's pretty small, all
Yeah.
right? They're both high school draftees. Nimmo went in the first round, Carter in the second round. And Nimmo really is, if Evan Carter is gonna say, "Boy, I sure would like to be like this player," Brandon Nimmo would be probably close to the top of his list. Hit for average, hit both hands, um, power, good defender, so great teammate. So there are a lot of similarities, I think, that you can potentially draw there. And you know, the job of veterans and their goal, their stated goal, if you talk to the veterans, is to give back. And it's not just through trying to get the highest salary. That's always a popular way to do it, but to teach these guys how to be professionals and give them help whenever they need it. And right now, Evan Carter needs to have a better idea of how to hit left-handers.
Yep.
And if what Brandon Nimmo went through, um, Evan's such a smart kid and has a willingness to try things. This might be what he needs.
Yeah. Yeah. We sure hope it is. The process ongoing for the Rangers, who have come home and again laid groundwork for everything else that they want to accomplish during this off season. Chris Young talked about that. Let's take a look at his quote from sort of the wrap up press conference of the winter meetings where he's talking about, yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of things that are possible basically on the table is what he's saying at this point, but they can go away in one text. He said this, Jeff, and it was in your story,
Yeah.
wrapping up the winter meetings. We're engaged on a number of things, but nothing is imminent. And I don't know, and you might know the context for us. It seems to me like maybe that would have been regarding a question about the catcher, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. I kind of, it's kind of like a, there were a couple different times when that tenor came out. Like, how did the winter meetings go for you? And and earlier in that story he says, well, we didn't, basically he said we didn't sign anybody and
Yeah,
make a big splash, but these things weren't a failure. We have an idea of where we're going to go now. And I kind of asked, and this might have been it, like, how, a clever way of saying, are you close to a deal? I that's basically what I asked. I asked, have you reached the red zone on any deals? And he was like, I don't know. I hate to say where they are, but we've talked, and but nothing's imminent. So it sounds like they're maybe outside the 20, but driving. So anyway, and that's pretty usual. That's you look at last winter meetings where they did make some deals. They then quickly made a couple right after the winter meetings, or within a week to 10 days. One of which was Hobie Milner, who just signed with the Cubs,
yeah,
1 year, 3.45 million. So he basically got $1 million raise over last year. It seems like that would have been in the Rangers' wheelhouse. But anyway, the point is that, and I've tried to make it, and you were trying to make it, and it is a long off season, but the Rangers don't want to get too much deeper here. I think everybody would feel a little bit better if they can hit on one of their guys here before Christmas, one or two of them, get them in, get it done. Everybody can breathe a little bit easier. Chris Young joked. We were talking about the length of the off season, and I brought up, this is in the NBA where everything's done in 24 hours. He's like, man, I'd love to have a Christmas.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he doesn't get a lot of time off this time of year. But maybe if you got a catcher and a reliever, he could maybe enjoy Thanksgiving morning at least.
Christmas morning, yeah, no doubt.
Christmas,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and you're right, and that's the thing. The catcher thing, as we've mentioned on the show many times before, is urgent, or more urgent, because they don't have anybody. And so but it's also interesting because nothing. I mean, I shouldn't say nothing. Very little has happened in the catcher market.
Yeah, that's true. You can look around, and I think the Red Sox avoided arbitration with their backup, Connor Wong. Um, but that's the only one I remember off the top of my. Oh, well, Austin Hedges re-signed
Yeah,
with Cleveland pretty quickly. But that's it. And look, the Rangers are going to find somebody who's more productive than Jonah Heim was last year.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
It's just, what form is that player going to look like? Is it going to be a guy who does come in on a 1 year deal? Is it going to be somebody who's a little younger and a little more controllable? Um, that's kind of what you hope it is. You want, hopefully, a multi-year contract, because Higashioka's done after this year. His contract's expired. So you don't want to have to sign two guys, right? Two catchers in what's already a thin market. Um, if you like Kyle Higashioka and you think he's just going to be a nice, solid 60, 70, 80 guy, games guy, and he's going to produce a little bit, go ahead and give him an extension or something.
yes, yes.
It doesn't have to be for what he's making this year, but give him something that keeps him around, a veteran guy. Like, if let's say the Rangers did acquire a young catcher who, probably would be in the major leagues a little too soon, but was going to be asked to carry the load, you'd want a Kyle Higashioka there teaching this kid the game.
Right.
And you would want it for multiple years. And so I wonder if that potentially is something that they've thought about. Um, Higgy's, and even if it's a guy on a 1 year deal, let's say, um, you would want Higashioka around, if Malcolm Moore takes a leap this year, and shows that he might be ready, or if you do work another, at the deadline, if you're out of it and you trade for a young catching prospect, well, you got a guy who can groom him and help him out. So I like Higashioka, um, but the catching situation, it's not just for this year. I think they have to address 2027 as well.
There is zero doubt about that because, again, as it stands right now, if they sign a guy to a 1 year deal, and I noticed, and I don't think JT Realmuto is signing for 1 year no matter what, but I noticed, when you were talking to AJ yesterday, he kind of threw out there, well, yeah, maybe you sign Realmuto to a 1 year or 2 year deal, right? But anyway, whoever, if they signed anybody for 1 year and with Higashioka's contract running out, they wouldn't be in the same situation they're in right now next year. They'd be in a much worse one because
Yeah.
then they'd have zero catchers. So, yeah, I agree. And I'm sure that is part of the process that's ongoing for the Rangers
Yeah.
right now.
That said, they do like Willie McGyver, who they got from the A's on the waiver claim,
Okay.
and he's a defensive minded guy. They
Hmm.
still value the defense even with the challenge system, and they think the bat's gonna get better,
Yeah.
so they like
Me
him.
too. Yeah.
It's a good situation though, having him on option so that he can come up and come down. You don't have to create a 40-man spot for him. He's already on there. You don't have to have, like a Tucker Barnhart situation last year. So he's going to be part of this equation. It just, and maybe he is in the equation. Maybe one of their plans is, all right, we get 70 from Higashioka. Maybe we get 70 from another guy, and then maybe we can squeeze 25 out of Willie McGyver. I mean, there's that possibility too. There's a
Sure.
lot of ways to add it up. You'd prefer it to be two guys, but as we know, catchers get hurt,
Right.
and so you're gonna need a third and even a fourth at some point. But let's not lose track of this McGyver fella.
Yeah, I agree. That's something we do somewhat forget about at times, and we don't want to do that. And part of the reason is he's just never shown any. His offensive numbers are worse than Jonas, frankly. So, but he's here, and the Rangers feel like they can help improve those numbers as well as rely on that defensive ability. More coming up as we continue to talk this one through. Other things happening around Ranger land throughout the course of this offseason, and we get to some of those things next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Oh, supporters club. Hey, I don't know if it's hit the site yet or not. I haven't checked. Oh, it's tomorrow. I got my days all mixed up. Coming tomorrow. That video that the skipper is producing for the Rangers element of the supporters club. Here's what the supporters club is. It's another way to learn about your favorite teams with insight from the beat guys, or a behind the scenes look at what happens at the winter meetings. I had very little to do with that, although I have a bad feeling there might be some compromising situations in which
There
I've been ID'd. So anyway, supporters club, it's easy to join. You do it on our homepage, our YouTube homepage. It's affordable. You get those emojis. And like I said, it's content that you can't get anywhere else, not even on our website.
Leon, thank you very much for gifting 5 more of those Supporters Club memberships, even as we speak. And you don't have to give the gift of the newsletter because it is free. I'm looking at the newsletter here right now on my little handy device here. And guess what the big story is? It's a Rangers story. We don't get many of those this time of year because the Rangers aren't playing. There were a
Yeah.
lot of Rangers. The big story was the Rangers a lot during the season. But anyway, the big one was that Corey Seager is not going to Boston, and so that's what Ali had in the deal. Most of you that are looking at us right now already knew that. The Derek Lively news is in the newsletter. Of course, the Star is just doing all the things that they do, and he has a little funny little bit about Philip Rivers, 44 years old, and now on the practice squad of the Indianapolis Colts. So his press conference, by the way, was fantastic. If you get a chance to look at that, they asked, "How much do you weigh now?" And you can tell he's put on a few pounds. He goes, "I have no idea. I really don't know." So anyway, it's that part is not in the newsletter, but all that other stuff is. It's great. It's free. Become a newsletter subscriber today. All right. So one of the things I've noticed, and it continued today on social media, Jeff, there are lots of reports out there from various people who are at the winter meetings saying they polled, which, who knows how many they really polled. They polled the general managers. And again, most of them believe that the Rangers are playing possum and that they're actually going to make a big deal. And I believe that we need to put that to rest, because I don't believe there is any bit of possum playing going on right here.
Maybe not a maybe not a big free agent splash. I know
Right.
they've already made a big trade.
Right.
I could see them making a big trade that way.
Sure.
Um, I do kind of think that they have a little more powder dry than they're letting on. I just do. I don't think it's going to be Kyle Tucker type of
Right.
situation, but I just feel like they have a little more than they're letting on, or there are ways to save the money. Look, one way is, this is one of my takeaways from the winter meetings, is that Josh Smith's going to be the second baseman. I think that is clear as day. I they might be pulling a fast one on me, but I really believe that they're sincere in that. And talking to Skip Schumacher about it, he said, "Well, you should be, because that's the way it's heading right now." So if you're saving a lot of money at second base, maybe that frees up um, something else, and yeah, and these GMs, they'll probably hear things too, um, they probably hear, oh yeah, we're talking, our agents saying we're talking to the Rangers, we're talking to the so and so, oh, and the Rangers, so maybe, but there's also and I thought John Daniels was guilty of this sometimes, where you kick too many tires,
Right.
and you maybe lose your direction, or you start to trend one way and get outflanked on the other side. So um and even Chris Young said yesterday, there's not one direction. You have to cast a wide net. But you know how wide do you need to cast it? Let's be realistic here. So I don't know. That's interesting, though. That is
Yeah, it
interesting
is.
that they would say that. Yeah.
It is. I was at the Jared Sandler's great event. We had him on the show to help promote, and super successful event that Jared had at Globe Life Field on Sunday. And I don't want to mention names, but I bumped into another of the special assistants within the Rangers organization, and he was beside himself, disappointed that Colby Lewis was no longer, among the special assistants, and said, Colby worked. I mean, he actually did work. And the point the special assistant was making is that he believes the financial, deal, whether necessary, right, is real, right? He doesn't believe that, like, this has to happen in order for the team to be solvent, for goodness sake. But he believes that there is some belt tightening that goes on. I said, "Are you still a special assistant?" He said, "For now." So interesting, an interesting take on it from someone who is, somewhat inside. It appears that there is some serious belt tightening. And I floated out the idea of, well, is it, sort of powder dry, if you will, you're keeping powder dry for the fear that you're going to not have the normal amount of revenue if there is some sort of a lockout or a strike next year. And his point was, well, pay the players then, right? So you're saving all that money. So anyway, just very interesting take, and it seemed surprising and real from that person's perspective, that there is, there is a conscious effort to tighten things up financially.
Yeah, I did ask Chris about if the looming labor strife was uh, affecting their plan. He said, no, we're looking at 1-year deals, we're looking at multi-year deals. So whatever happens with that is not a factor in the way they're operating this offseason. And it does, that's a good point, you know. You're saving money on salaries, and
Right.
and
Yeah.
look, if that's a huge chunk of your annual debt, which it is, um, then yeah, hey, maybe the Rangers will have some money to throw around after the lockout. I don't know, but
Right. Right.
everybody assumes it's happening. That's just the other thing. Like, oh
True.
yeah, yeah, this is
True.
happening. This is
Yeah.
happening. But hopefully they can both find something they hate mutually and think it's okay.
Right. And there's no doubt that there could be belt tightening on the business side of things, that, sometimes the baseball operations are free and clear of places where you're saving money, right? Like, yeah, and like it's hard to be too frugal and be a
Hmm.
Major League Baseball team, right? The actual team in baseball operations. So, yeah, who knows about all those things? But I thought it was an interesting take from someone on the inside. Tuesday at the ballpark was the annual toy drive for the Rangers, and Evan Carter and his wife raised, helped to bring in over 1,000 toys, and the Rangers were asking for new toys of $15 or more, and it all goes to Mission Arlington, Jeff. So I think it was, just a worthy effort by Evan and Kalen and the Rangers to do that and make Christmas bright for so many kids over there at Mission Arlington.
Yeah, and if you can help out this time of year, I encourage everybody to do it, and maybe some of you did go out there and donated, and if you did, thank you. Yeah, I mean, everybody wants toys. Every kid should have a present under the tree, and our Jesse Holly helps out with that in one of his own endeavors, and
He does.
I think we all donated to that. So
We did.
um, that's awesome and good for Evan. It seems like whatever happens with Evan professionally, he's going to have about 40 kids. He
Yeah.
just seems like the guy who,
Yeah.
wants to have a family and would be a great dad, and his wife too, just these two young sweet people. And I think that we were laughing about all the kids that the Rangers seem to be having the last few years, and they lost a lot with Jonah leaving and Marcus leaving.
Yeah.
Um, it turns out Rod Barajas, the new quality control coach, has 8 kids.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That's crazy.
That is.
So Rod made up the difference in just one
Yeah.
guy.
One swoop.
Um,
Yeah.
but it seems like the next wave, like Cody Bradford's wife, is due. Uh, I think eminently. It was around early to mid December on that one, and then John Gray. I don't know if he's going to return or not, but his wife was due in late November. That's after Marcus had their child in
Corey had
October, and
theirs. Yep.
Corey had one, Josh Smith had one,
Yeah.
and you would think, well, Wyatt's young and married,
Yeah.
Carter's young and married, and it just seems like maybe there'll be a new wave coming.
Yep, absolutely. Now, a previous wave is in the news, and it seems that maybe, Jeff, this Joey Gallo pitching deal has got some legs. And by the way, this picture that was taken at spring training one year, I imagine on picture day when he was with the White Sox, Joey Joey does do some strange things facially. Always has got some sort of facial tics, Jeff, but he probably wants that picture back. He's got Big eyes
Yeah.
working
It,
there.
yeah.
But meantime, it appears that all the things he's put out on social media and stuff are getting attention. I don't know if he's going to have a chance to be on any kind of major league roster this year, but it appears that several teams are interested in at least bringing him in and seeing if seeing what he's got basically.
No, everybody knows he has a big arm. I mean, anybody watching play the outfield knows that Joey Gallo can throw a baseball pretty hard. And if he's been working on it, there has to be a dedication level. It's
Yes,
not, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to pitch. It's going to like, no, I'm going to learn how to pitch the right way, the proper mechanics. I'm going to bat it right. I'm going to build up correctly, all this stuff. And it looks like from afar, that's what's happening with Joey. Hey, that'd be great if the Rangers brought him back.
wouldn't that be
Bring him back
fun?
as a
Yeah,
pitcher. It would be
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
And now he's not a young man, but his arm is
No,
young and doesn't have a
yeah,
lot of mileage on it. He's still not old by any stretch, but
no.
yeah, he's over 30 by now. But um, hey, I'm all for it. I am
Me
all
too.
for it.
Me
Yeah.
too. And speaking of Joey, one of the guys that came from New York in the trade for Joey Gallo has officially retired. Glenn Otto, who is true. You talk about a sweet guy,
Oh
as
yeah.
you were with Evan Carter, Jeff. Glenn Otto is one of the sweetest guys that's ever come through here. He did a very heartfelt thank you to all of his fans, all of his coaches, and said, don't worry, I'm leaving this game as happy as I can be. It gave me everything I could have ever wanted and more. And, that God has big plans for him. And he's anxious to follow in whatever path, God leads him on. It was just a beautiful a retirement for a guy. A lot of times I think when, you kind of, you're right there on the precipice, and he made it to the big leagues, but you're right there on the precipice of a really long big league career. You might be a little bitter, right? That it's ending now. I need, he was fantastic about it.
Yeah, I saw that, and yeah, he was always a grounded guy.
Yeah,
And he finished he graduated from Rice, so he
right.
he was drafted out of Rice, so he's finished his degree. I don't know if it was just his undergraduate or if he went ahead and knocked out some grad school while he was at it, but he's from that area, lives in that area, and yeah, I noticed that, and a little surprised, but hey, sometimes you just know, and
Yep.
and I believe his wife had a child shortly after he was acquired, and so he's probably got one or two running around by now, and if you're kind of stuck and you're a 4A kind of guy and not getting as much big league time as you want and something's pulling you at home and maybe he's probably got a big opportunity lined up with his degree.
Maybe. Yep.
There's a lot of networking in baseball, so maybe
Mhm.
he's already scored himself a nice job, but good for Glenn Otto, and wish him well.
Yep, no doubt about that. More coming up. We will get to our cleanup segment as we wrap this one up next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Man, I noticed we got a note yesterday from one of our chatters, one of my friends who noticed that we had a big crowd yesterday watching live, and I said, yeah, we're getting there, and he said, well, it's because there a lot of fans are diehards, and they're right, and if you're not a DLS diehard, you need to do it today. Scan that QR code or go to our homepage, alldls.com. There's a bunch of different ways to join. It's $79.99 a year. If you missed our sale, sorry, but at $80 a year, it's still a ridiculous bargain to read all of my stuff. Clarence Hill, Ali on the Cowboys, Sam on the Stars, and young Ron over there on the Mavs, and we have guys who, well, they'll pitch in every now and then and offer their insights and such, and it's just if you want to be the smartest sports fan while still having a good time, diehard membership's the way to do it. You get the free shirt, you get 20% off of our events, you get 20% off of the merch, you get early access to events. It's just, come on, if you haven't done by now, don't wait.
So I got a hat coming. It's
Atta
official.
baby.
It's official. I've gotten the notice. I got the I think they call it the flag crest hat. on the far
Okay.
left of the screen right there, the black one with the gold bars. I think it kind of makes me look, or will make me look like I'm some sort of a decorated person, right? That's
Yeah.
like a medal or something. I don't. Are they all still branded bills, Jeff? You've got them all now, right? Or do you not yet?
I haven't received the
Okay.
more recent ones. I don't know that they're all branded bills. I think a
That
couple of
one
them
is.
are.
I noticed on
Yeah,
the order form, at least that one that I've ordered is a branded bills, and I know yours is a branded bills, and
that's
we're big.
correct.
Yeah, we're big fans of the branded bills. Ty there, another supporter of ours. But anyway, it's not just hats. We got the shirts and we've got the hoodies, which you kind of need at least at night. Around here, it's been pretty warm during the days, but you need a hoodie at night. So store.allcitynetwork.com is the place to go. And you can get hats, shirts, sweatshirts, and so much more. Merchandise that you can keep or give as a gift this holiday season. All right, so let's get to the cleanup segment. Top thing I had in there was what you've already mentioned, Jeff, but that it was the signing by Hobie Milner. And
Hmm.
so Hobie's off the market, and good for Hobie. Another guy we really like, and so good for him that he's going to make $1 million more. I'm a little bit like you. I thought, and I saw 3.75. You saw 3.4. Either way,
Maybe it was
yeah.
375.
Either way, I agree with you. It seems like that's not that would not be out of the range even in a budget year. But interesting and too bad. Don't like seeing Hobie Milner go, and it's one more piece now that must be replaced officially. So
Yeah, yeah. You know, Chris Young and Ross had both said recently, and they reiterated it as recently as yesterday, that they are still engaged with the guys who were relievers last year, who were free agents, and there was a lot of communication and interest in bringing them back. They had to expect that these guys were going to get raises. Their performance merited a
absolutely
bump. And if, and I don't know, what they, I don't know how far they get down the road they got with Milner. But if they were trying to, undercut him a little bit because he lives in North Richland Hills, well, shame on them.
right,
Reward the guy.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, fantastic against left-handers. 526 OPS against left-handers last year. So,
yeah,
um, his ERA was under 4 overall. At one point there in June, it seemed like he was pitching every day and pitching well every day.
yes,
He was kind of holding the bullpen together.
he
So,
was.
um, again, another great guy, another guy we hate to see leave, but wish well because he really is a super super guy.
Yeah, and if the loss of him, makes it a little more urgent or makes them a little more motivated to get Sean Armstrong, if he's also one of the guys they're engaged with from last year, I'd be happy about that too, right? I mean, it'd be really the way he really the whole year, but certainly the
Yeah.
way he finished the year against right-handers. I mean, he was basically unhittable, Jeff.
He had a great year, and you know, you're gonna have to get out a lot of good right-handed hitters, and might as well have somebody that can do it really, really well. He doesn't have to be your closer. I know he ended the year as the closer and did fine,
Yeah,
but not necessarily closer stuff. But you look at those numbers, and he's got something. It's pretty clear he has something because he gave up a lot fewer, lot less damage he did to the hitters, and um, he wants to be here. I really liked it here. Again, he needs a raise. He is owed
gonna
a
get a raise.
raise,
Yeah, he's gonna get one. Yeah,
and the Rangers need to be in the ballpark
yeah.
because I think if they are, he'll choose them.
Yeah. Speaking of closers, Robert Suarez has signed with the Atlanta Braves, Jeff, and won't be 3 for 45, and he'll be a setup guy. They say
Oh,
Iglesias is still going to be the closer, and Suarez is going to be a setup guy for them. How about that?
well, Yeah, well, we'll see how long it lasts,
Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Iglesias did not have a great year last
Right.
year. But you know, everybody talked about how much money the Braves have. And they're publicly they're owned by a public company, a
Right.
publicly traded company. So
Yep.
their finances are free for anybody who wants to take the time to find them. But they've got money, and they signed Mike Yastrzemski as well
Right.
to a 2-year deal. He's a platoon guy, left-handed hitting outfielder. The Royals had been interested in him after they acquired him at the deadline to help their playoff push that didn't quite make it. So yeah, watch out for the Braves, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
two for 23, which is a pretty good contract, for Mike Yastrzemski. So, good for him. Yeah, and so that the like you said, the Braves are definitely loading up a little bit, and we expected them to do so. And of course, they too have kicked the tires on Corey Seager, but we're quickly, told no, we're really not that interested. Another signing of note is that. Jack Leiter could easily be facing his cousin in divisional games this year,
So
Jeff, as Mark Leiter Jr. has signed with the A's a 1-year deal.
yeah, and I remember him pitching really, really well for the Yankees in the 24 postseason.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't remember how well he did this year.
I
I
don't
thought the
even
three
remember him
million was a
being
little
there.
was a I thought the $3 million was a little bit light though. But again, I'm saying that not knowing what his numbers were. So you know, I don't know where they're from, the Lighters. I would assume they're from
All over there
this
somewhere, New York. Yeah.
but um yeah, that'll be a storyline, I guess. But um I think that deal would give the Rangers a little bit of hope, that
Hmm.
hey,
Hmm.
maybe this reliever market's not going to get out of control
Hmm.
because I think even if you're just an ex-Yankee, it seems like maybe you have an extra value, that goes with that. So yeah, let's see. Last year, not great, 484. Okay, so he did not have a great year. So maybe the Rangers aren't encouraged by
And
that.
did they, when he was with the Yankees, did Jack and Mark, were they pitching against each other in the same game at some point? I seem to
I
remember
don't. It
that.
would it would have been late in the season.
Yeah, one of the year, 2 years
It would have
ago, I
been
think it
it
was
would have been September of 24, and
24. Yeah,
it's
I don't
there's
remember.
potential that they did, but
Yeah, seems
um,
like they might have. I kind of remember that. Somebody in the chat will know. Yeah, but anyway, so Mark Leiter Jr. has landed. He's got a place to be in Sacramento. Not the greatest place to be, but man, I tell you what, that they keep showing the updates on the Vegas building that's going on, and they're right on or slightly ahead of schedule getting that A's new facility done. Also, there is news out of New York that the Francisco Lindor Juan Soto thing seems to be real. They don't like each other very much. And Lindor, not only because of the Soto thing, but perhaps because of the way that the Mets have comported themselves thus far this offseason, says he might be interested in getting the heck out of there. Uh,
oh
and that Boston might be a nice landing spot. So there's potentially there's word out there that there are talks going on between the Mets and the Red Sox. And of course, the Red Sox would love to get, as we know, they kick the tires hard on Corey Seager. They'd love to get, some sort of a middle infielder.
yeah, I think they're kicking the tires on everybody.
Maybe, yeah,
Okay, that's fine, but that's interesting. I didn't know about the Lindor drama.
yeah. There
That's
apparently he
pretty
and
interesting.
Soto, yeah, he and Soto don't get along, and so it's we know clubhouse chemistry it's a real thing. And if there are rifts even between superstars in there, it can have an effect on the entire team. So, that may also be a reason that the Mets would be somewhat motivated, especially if Lindor is willing to make a move there. The Mets, I mean, look, I said this to Kat before you got on yesterday, Jeff. It could be worse. we could be covering the Mets, right? I mean, good heavens, the Mets, what a really, since the Nimmo trade, and they did get Marcus Semien back in that, so it's not like, that was a complete loss. But boy, they've suffered their fair share of losses this week. Maybe starting with Edwin Diaz. And speaking of drama there, Jeff, we speculated on the day after the Diaz deal happened that maybe he didn't want to be back with the Mets. Come to find out, there's been some reporting that he was offended by the fact that they went after Devin Williams and didn't consult him. So then after the fact, I know, I see you rolling your eyes. Look, hey, these are superstars. They get to act this way if they want. After the fact, that I don't know if I'm sure the Mets said it to him, but David Stearns and the other guys were all going, well, no, but Edwin Diaz is still our closer. But we've got Devin Williams now, and Edwin Diaz says, no, I'm not. I'll show you. But I like this, the Post. We always love Post headlines. And this is a couple of days ago. We were so busy with Jeff at the winter meetings, we didn't get to this, but I wanted to show it the day the music died.
Great headline.
Isn't that a great headline? It's like a play on the old song, the American Pie and Don McLean. But the day the music died, and of course, I think most of the people in our chat are savvy enough to know Diaz had and will, I'm sure, in Los Angeles, this entrance where, like the Mets TV crew, SNY, they didn't take a break in that final commercial break. They didn't take it. They didn't go away for commercials when it was an instance where Edwin Diaz was going to pitch the ninth inning, because they wanted to show the whole buildup and the whole thing with him coming out of the bullpen and the music playing and the lights flashing. And so anyway, the music died, Jeff.
No, I saw that. That was pretty good. I believe that was the New York Post. So good for the Post.
Yeah, we like the Post. And I think today the Post said, going back to the Miracle Mets, you got to believe. Today they had, you got to bereave. Because,
oh man,
they'll do a play on words on you. You got to bereave because they are grieving, a little bereavement happening in Metland right now. There's got to be something big, I think, coming. They've got the money, right? I mean, you can't just let all these great players go, and it just doesn't. It seems totally counter to what Cohen has done as the owner. So I think there's probably some big things yet coming. But anyway, that's the Mets. That's not the
well, you're right. And I've seen Framber Valdez and that they've been linked to, and good luck with that. I don't think he'll be getting along with Juan Soto either.
No,
I don't know, but maybe they're meant for each other. Who knows?
Sure.
I've never heard anything bad about Juan Soto though, so that's interesting.
No, I haven't either. And I'm seeing a lot of stuff of him, being fun and affable and gregarious even during this offseason. So very interesting play there. And who knows? It takes two to tango in any of those type situations. So we've got more tomorrow. We've got another show tomorrow. And I was chatting with Mike Bassick today prior to the show. I've got a couple of thoughts he threw my way that I'm throwing your way tomorrow, Jeff. So,
all right. Well, I look forward to being thrown at. Yeah.
It'll be a fun. Mike can. He's got a heck of a changeup, right? So we'll throw the changeup at you tomorrow. Anyway, thanks to you and to all of you who were in the chat today. And
hey, we got to stretch this out 2 more minutes because of my.
I forgot. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So I did. I was ready to get us off the air, and I forgot that we were going to 2. So let me see what Tabasic's texting me now. Okay, he's texting me Corey Seager fantasy numbers. We'll put those into the deal tomorrow as well. So,
well, all I know is my fantasy team finished 3rd this year without Corey Seager. I have my shortstop is Bobby Witt, so
it's not bad.
Yeah, I'll take that. But who won the Ford C. Frick Award? Leon asked, and yes. I believe that was on the rundown.
It was on the rundown.
It's a historic, award.
Yeah, it is, and it's the 50th. So how cool is it that Joe Buck wins the 50th? Becomes the 50th winner of the Ford C. Frick Award, which is for broadcast excellence. Of course, our own Eric Nadel is a member, one of the 50. And, my childhood sort of broadcast hero, Ernie Harwell, is also one of them. And but Joe becomes the very first, completes the very first father-son duo as Ford Frick Award winners. His dad, Jack, of course, was the St. Louis Cardinals announcer, I think from 54 all the way till 2001. That is a long run. It's not Vin Scully, but that's a long
pretty
run.
long.
That's a
Well,
long run.
he had some great ones. Go Crazy Folks, and I Don't Believe What I Just Saw, and We Will See You Tomorrow Night. So those are three off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I think Joe gets a bad rap. I like Joe. Joe's
I
fine
do
with
too.
me.
I think Joe's fantastic, and of course now mostly does football. But I think Joe is really, really good and fun. And I guess people think he gets a little too political and a little too preachy. I don't see either one of those things or notice them. I don't know. Maybe I preach and maybe I share his politics. I'm not sure, but neither one of those things bother me too much. So anyway, that's it. That's 202 in this case. So 202. We'll see you tomorrow at 1. It won't be 102. It won't be 101. We'll be in studio. 1 o'clock tomorrow, another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.